throne. The lavish games and shows of his tricennalia had only just been concluded. 30 years, and every one harder than the last, with fewer rewards. Had he not done enough? He had brought peace to the Roman world, crushed his enemies and reunited the empire. He had built this great city of Constantinople, dedicated in the name of the one true God. He had raised the Christian faith from persecution to glory, and filled the empire with magnificent churches. He had been generous, too. So much gold had flowed from his hands that he doubted there was a single citizen who had not been enriched by his largesse. He had done all that, but still it was not enough. Always the same restless, ambitious fury he had known all his life, driving him on, forbidding him happiness. What more could God ask of him? When would he be granted peace? He had slept badly the night before, troubled once again by vivid dreams. They were the most terrible dreams, the ones that came to him at the darkest hour of night, when those he had destroyed returned to him. He saw again the proud faces that he had thrown down, Maximian, Maxentius, Licinius, whispering to him in their anguish, "Remember me. Remember me." His own wife, his own eldest son. "Remember me when you confront your God. Speak my name at last, and despair."
Majesty?
Constantine flinched, irritated that he had let his mind wander. He focused once more on the scene before him. A eunuch knelt beside the throne.
Majesty,
he said again in a sibilant whisper.
The ambassadors of the King of Persia?
Tightening his lips slightly, the emperor raised a finger from the arm of his throne. At his signal, the Magister Admissionum climbed to the lower step of the dais, raised his gold staff of office, and cried out in a voice that echoed down the hall, "Let Vercingetorix, the envoy of Shapur II, king of the Persians, and those who accompany him be called." A sonorous note from the water organ in the side chamber, and a file of white-uniformed protectores entered through the far doors of the hall. Once they had formed up in a double row facing the central aisle, the Persian delegation followed them in from the vestibule. Constantine had kept the Persians waiting for nearly 10 days now, all through the celebrations of the Tricennalia, and had been happy to do so. Let them witness the might of the Roman Empire, he thought. Let them marvel at the passions of the crowd, the glory of the imperial salutations. Let them see everything, and take word of it back to their upstart king in Ctesiphon. He had already seen the inventory of the official gifts: 10 gold-embroidered carpets, 6 saddles panelled in ivory and set with gemstones, 18 peacock feather fans, a couch made of elephants' tusks. The list went on. Constantine was unmoved by it. He was satiated with luxuries. Now the men who had brought those gifts all the way from the royal court on the Tigris stood before him. Vercingetorix, the chief envoy, had a bone-white face and pointed black beard. He wore a gown of gold-worked crimson silk and a tall white hat. Not daring to glance up at the dais, he advanced slowly between the ranks of soldiers until he reached the disk of purple marble set into the floor. Then, with a crumple of silk, he prostrated himself full length, touching his forehead to the stone. Constantine hid his smile. He rather liked this Persian form of genuflection. Perhaps he thought he should introduce it to the Roman court as well. His sons would like that, he knew. They had a taste for the obsequious. Getting to his feet, the ambassador walked slowly forward to the foot of the dais. Climbing the first 2 steps, he prostrated himself once more. Reaching out with one hand, he took the trailing hem of the emperor's purple robe and touched it lightly to his lips. Then he shuffled backwards from the dais, stood up, and retreated to the purple disk once more.
The letter from the King of Persia, sublimity?
The eunuch beside the throne whispered, proffering a sealed roll of parchment on his silk-veiled palms. Constantine